Hello people, how you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic damn day. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be showing you guys how you can start off a realistic Bayern Munich rebuild. Of course, this is under the likes of Thomas Tuchel, so if you would like to try and sign under him, some of his potential signings, some of his potential outgoings, how you should look to try and steer the club in the right direction, what stadium should you potentially use as a realistic stadium. Obviously Bayern Munich don't have it in the game, the Allianz Arena, so what stadium should you use that best replicates their real life stadium? If you can, please hit that like button down below, subscribe if you are new, and let's hop on straight into the video. So having a realistic set of tactics goes a long way in helping create that realistic environment that you're trying to obviously replicate in your game FC24. So we have already replicated Thomas Tuchel's realistic tactics. If you haven't seen them, I will link them down below or potentially at the end of this video, as well as the likes of Hansi Flick, of course, the manager that was replaced by Nagelsmann and then replaced by Tuchel. Obviously former German coach as well, but we have also replicated his 4-2-3-1 system that he used to help win Bayern Munich the treble in, what was it, 2020. So again, if you haven't seen those videos, please go check them out, leave a like down below. And yes, let's get on into the squad. So taking a look at the first team, of course, you start off with the captain Manuel Neuer, an 87 overall goalkeeper, has provided a lot of leadership over the years for the side, but I will say, it's probably about time that you don't shift him on, keep him as much as and as long as possible. He is an absolute club legend, but it's probably time that you start looking for another goalkeeper in this area. Maybe one that's not so highly rated, but again, a player that can come in and eventually replace the likes of Manuel Neuer. Of course, they do have, I think it's pronounced Ulreich as the backup, as well as Alexander Nubel that they brought from Schalke a few seasons ago, but it hasn't really worked out. They've loaned him out countless times. He's been very unhappy when he has been at Bayern, not wanting to sit on the bench, and you can understand that he is a young player. He's only 26, but maybe the likes of Manuel Neuer going out the door and him coming back from his loan, he could be your number one target, or potentially you going and looking for a new potential goalkeeper. I don't know. They do have a few other players here in and around the first team, 17 years of age, 22 years of age, 19 years of age. Maybe one of these guys could also be the potential answer for your future. I don't know. I will also say this though, it's a very unstable environment at Bayern Munich at the moment. There are a lot of players who are uncertain or who are looking to try and leave the club. You've got the likes of Rafael Guerreiro that's just come in recently, and I don't think he's done that badly when he has played. But again, players leaving the club. Alphonso Davies linked consistently with a move away to Real Madrid. Vinny Jr. and Alphonso Davies, apparently they've been speaking behind the scenes. Maybe Alphonso Davies leaves Bayern Munich. I will say this though, for season number 1, keep the likes of Alphonso Davies, and maybe season number 2, you look to try and sell him and then obviously recoup some of the money and then reinvest it back into the side with a potential left back or so. Onto your centre back department now, we've got the likes of Upamecano, Matthias de Ligt, Kim Min-jae, also the likes of Eric Dyer. Now I have put him on the transfer list, but he is he is now in the Bayern Munich side. But apparently another player that might be heading out the door in 2024 is the likes of Matthias de Ligt. Now again, just like with Alphonso Davies, I would keep him for season number 1 because it's a realistic move. They have obviously used him throughout the course of this season, so use him as well. He's an 86 overall defender. But again, I don't think he's been as happy as what he would have thought when he moved initially from Juventus to the likes of Bayern Munich. He's also struggled a lot with injuries, and maybe that's also because he has been playing first team men's football from such a young age, and the injuries have now, and the physicality of that have now caught up with his body. We don't know just yet. He is linked with a move to the potential likes of Chelsea, Manchester United. Manchester United is an interesting prospect, of course. Erik ten Hag at the club. Obviously, they've worked together before at Ajax, and they were very successful there as well. So, again, it's a realistic move to maybe try and shift him on, get some of that money, and then reinvest it back into the side. I have got a few centre-back options and targets on the transfer list that they have been linked with in real life that you could look to try and sign to potentially replace the likes of Matthias de Ligt. Onto your right-back area now. Okay, we've got the likes of Sarr and Mazraoui. Again, another very unstable area of the pitch. The likes of Thomas Tuchel, he's played the likes of Konrad Laimer there. He hasn't really trusted the likes of Mazraoui. Obviously signed for free from Ajax. He's a very good, talented player, but he doesn't suit what Thomas Tuchel's looking for in the right-back departments. I mean, the likes of Sarr, I think he might be leaving just on a free to begin with, but again, I would look to try and sell him on. Mazraoui I would try use as a potential backup. The likes of Joshua Kimmich can also play in that right-back area, but they are also linked with a move for a certain PSG right-back, and it's not Hakimi. So we'll also talk about that later on. Into your midfield area now. Kimmich, Lima, Pavlovic. Kimmich as well, also potentially, I'm saying potentially a lot, I do apologize, but he is also linked with the move away. Apparently there's a bit of uncertainty around his future. He is one of the best DMs in the world, but Thomas Tuchel somehow, some way doesn't rate him in the midfield. Consistently looking for a move for potential extra DM. I think maybe Kimmich isn't as physical as what Tuchel would like. They were linked with a move for Declan Rice in the summer, as well as Palhinha, two very physical, strong, very different defensive midfielders compared to the likes of a very technical Joshua Kimmich. So it will be very interesting to see again what happens with that. But I would say it's a very unrealistic move to re-sign this man, keep him in your team as long as possible, and then progress with him in the side. As for the likes of Conrad Lima, he is the archetypal replacement backup player that's really, really good for a team in general. Trying to build with him on your bench is a major success going forward. He is only 26 years of age as well, so if you do get rid of Kimmich, you do have a natural replacement for the German. But yes, we progress on that to the left wing area. Kingsley Coman, 85 overall. I would look to try and sign a potential replacement for him, or a backup at least for him. He is 27, he's getting into the prime of his career. He is going to want to start as much games as possible. They do have a very solid rotation with the likes of Sane, Gnabry, as well as Koeman, so I don't think you need to mess too much with that. Another man here who I would convert into a central defensive midfielder, because that is the more or less the 4-2-3-1 system that Tuchel does like to play. So have him as the box-to-box player. And also having him as a central midfielder does tend to just irritate me personally, because you do see that -1 when you are like looking at the team sheet. So convert him into a DM, and then obviously have him as that box-to-box player. As for the likes of Thomas, I need to say Thomas Tuchel, but Thomas Muller, also a few weeks ago there was a bunch of uncertainty around his career, but apparently I'm hearing that he is going to, or he may have already signed a further extension with the club. Now we'll talk about that. Obviously he will need to take a pay cut, and that's normally what happens at the latter stages of players' careers, especially when they do choose to stay at certain clubs, because the likes of Jamal Musiala is the superstar of this side, alongside Harry Kane, of course. He is the next best thing in this team, right? So you want to try and build the team and the future of this team around him, making it as successful as possible. Again, also a little bit of uncertainty around the contract extensions. Also, things have stalled a little bit. His contract does expire in 2026, but this would be one of the #1 priorities in trying to extend his deal for the future, obviously. Then we've got the likes of Sane and Gnabry as your right midfielder options. Maybe even potentially having a backup for Sane, a more left-footed, suited, inverted right midfielder that can back up the likes of Sane would be better, with the likes of Gnabry shifting to that left mid position. Into your striker area, we've got the likes of Choupo-Moting, Harry Kane, and of course Matisse Tel. Now, this is the natural replacement for the likes of Harry Kane in 2 or 3 seasons' time, when the England the England number 9 eventually starts to hit his decline and then inevitably tail off. But by then, this man right here should be hitting top form. He should be in his mid-80s to close to 90s at that point, and he should be able to take the reins from Harry Kane very, very quickly. Choupo-Moting is linked with the move away. I have added him to the transfer list, so probably getting him out the door for season number 1, if not season number 2. He is obviously on an expiring deal, so probably looking to try and get a bit more money out of the Choupo-Moting transfer is a necessity for this club going forward. But again, I don't think you would suffer if you had to lose a player like him, because again, you are trying to grow and give this kid as much minutes as possible. Now, before we get into the transfer targets, some of the instructions that I would give to your scouts would be looking at a goalkeeper, a right back, a left winger, a right winger, and of course a defensive midfielder. So for most of these, it's going to be a first team quality type player that can come in and naturally replace the players that are already in there. So for the goalkeeper, I've gone with a very young approach, looking for a 16 to 23-year-old, first team quality, and a potential world-class prospect. For the right back area, 20 to 28. The length of the deal doesn't really matter. Money is not always the issue for the likes of Bayern Munich. So again, first team quality, world-class, potentially looking to try and bypass growing a young player into a potential superstar, and looking right away for a superstar player to come in and make an instant impact for the side. Defensive midfield, of course, they were linked with a move for Paulinho, as well as apparently Scott McTominay as well, but I don't actually believe those rumors. But also Declan Rice. So they are looking for a world-class player to come in, which is exactly why I've gone with 20 to 28 age bracket, as well as first-team quality and world-class. They're not looking to, again, develop a young player potentially and then have him come through the ranks and so on. They're looking for an immediate, instant impact type player that they can bring into their side, and he can help them win the Bundesliga or the Champions League or the DFB Pokal. They're looking to win trophies immediately. Left back area for replacements of Alphonso Davies. First team quality, world class, and world class prospect. Left winger and right winger have the same set of instructions. Both of them are looking for a 20 to 28 year old, any length on the contract deal as it is. First team quality, a potential backup world class prospect, or potentially a first team prospect. Now, I haven't gone for a world-class winger because you already have 3 really good overall wingers. So potentially bringing in a younger player that can grow. They have done it in the past with the likes of Kingsley Coman. When they initially brought him into Bayern Munich, he had the likes of Ribéry and Arjen Robben ahead of him. So you can look to try and do a similar thing, signing a young, cheap winger that's got a potential of 85 plus, and then you can look to try and grow him and then progress him into the side in 2 or 3 seasons down the line. Now, when you start off a Bayern Munich career mode, you start off with around 105 to 110 million pounds / euros, depending on what your currency is. I've obviously got a little bit less here, as I've bought in youth scouts for the youth academy to obviously try and get that going. But you don't really have any money restrictions or issues when you start a career mode with Bayern Munich. So therefore, you can look to try and buy anybody who you would like. Now, I have gone ahead and created and constructed a very solid transfer list and set of transfer targets that you should look to try and transfer in to your Bayern Munich side for your realistic career mode. Taking a look at some of the transfer targets, we've got the likes of Nordi Mukiele learning a very hard lesson by getting a move to PSG from the likes of RB Leipzig. That's, if you are going to a club that already has a world-class player, there's going to be very little time and opportunities for you to try and prove yourself in that club. And I think his time at PSG has been very up and down. He hasn't been able to prove himself. The likes of Hakimi, when he's fit, he plays. So Mukiele has kind of been shifted to the side, and that's why he is angling for a move to Bayern Munich, because one, the right back area is very unstable at the moment, and he knows that he can probably try and shift himself into that position to start games, get more minutes, try and prove himself. He is 25 years of age. He is getting to the prime of his career now, where he needs to either prove that he's going to be a potential world-class player, or a world-class player, or he's going to be a bench rotational player. He does have a high work rate for the defensive side of things, 6'2" as well, very strong, physical, embodies what Thomas Tuchel is looking for, just his defenders in general, not a wing back, not a full back, not a you can play wing back, full back, centre back, and you still need to be very physical, and that's more or less what Nordi Mukiele is very good at. He does have a few good playing styles though, or yeah, play styles, whipped pass as well as slide tackle, so he is very good in defending in those wider channels. As for the likes of Eric Dyer, they did bring him in already for around 4 million, I think it was pounds or euros, I can't remember. But again, he is a friend to Harry Kane, so Harry Kane is so good that they had to spend 4 million to try and get him to be a bit happier. Look, I think that the likes of Eric Dyer won't play as much as what you might think. He does have a few good play styles though, power header, long pass, slide tackle, aerial, as well as bruiser. And I will also say this, he could be an alternative option in the midfield. He has played there before, he has done very well there before, so maybe it's not far-fetched that he might be getting a few minutes here and there in the midfield area. As for the likes of these two guys here to potentially replace the likes of Matthias de Ligt. Now, Kevin Danso, his time at Southampton was very turbulent. They didn't enjoy him or like what they saw from him. They sent him back to his club. Then that club then sold him to the likes of RC Lens. And last season, he was absolutely incredible, helping lead that side to almost a league-earned title. Obviously falling short to the likes of PSG, but it's not even like a slight on the team, because PSG are just that good and that dominant in League One that it's not even a surprise that they came back and they won the league and whatever. But for a Thomas Tuchel type centre-back to potentially replace the likes of Matthias de Ligt, this man has got all the play styles required. Long ball, bruiser, long throw, aerial, very physical, very dominant. He does have a decent amount of pace with him as well. He is Austrian. He's 24. I think he would fit the system very, very well. As well as the likes of Anton, also German, 6'2", can play out from the back, is very good at doing so, having a decent season at the likes of Stuttgart, who are also having a very good season. So he could be another option for your side going forward, backwards, sideways, whichever way you want. As for the likes of Miguel Gutierrez, now he has been on a whole host of transfer target lists throughout the course of these videos. But again, if you do sell the likes of Alphonso Davies, bringing this man in, he is almost a hand in glove type fit of what Alphonso Davies can do, but he might be even more gifted, more technical in the central areas of the pitch, linking up and being a bit more of an inverted fullback if required. He could definitely do a job if you do sell the likes of Alphonso Davies to Real Madrid. He should be one of your number one targets. Of course, he is also young, so you can look to try and reshape and rebuild your backline to try and be slightly younger and have a little bit of a brighter future, you could say. Another player that can play as a left back or a right back, he is right-footed though, so maybe play him as a right back, but the likes of Kadioglu also has a really good set of play styles, rapid flair, first touch, relentless, as well as quick step, so it is very quick. He's not as physical as the likes of Mukiele, but he could be a potential player to bring in, especially if you do sell the likes of Mazraoui. I know Mazraoui hasn't had the best time at Bayern, and he might be also angling for a move away. And then finally, a man who apparently the move is now done. He's not going to go to Bayern Munich, but it could be revised in the summer. So I have put him on the list. He was so close to getting a move to Bayern Munich last summer. But an 27-year-old Palhinha, Portuguese, of course, can play as a DM or a central midfielder, has got some really good play styles, bruiser plus, slide tackle, as well as long ball. He is everything that a Thomas Tuchel central defensive midfielder should be. He has also got a 4-star weak foot, so I think he would also really do well to fit into the system. And maybe if you do bring him in, and you don't want to bring in another right back, or you bring in Mukiele, but you need another right back because you've sold the likes of Mazraoui, convert the likes of Joshua Kimmich into a right back. That way you can fit all three of the likes of Goretzka, Palhinha, as well as Kimmich into the side and keep things nice and happy days. Now onto your youth scouting department. I've gone ahead and hired 2 extra scouts, or these 2 scouts I should say. I've also targeted the areas of Croatia, France, as well as Germany. Now they do have and have had some good young talented Croatian and French players in the past, which is exactly why I've gone ahead and tried to target those areas to try and get the young players from the source. And at this moment in time, France obviously are producing some crazy good young talents. So why not, instead of paying hundreds of millions of pounds or euros for those players, go straight to the source, nitpick them from their youth academies, and then obviously bring them into Bayern Munich. And the same goes for the likes of Croatia, who maybe are slightly past their golden generation now, but at the same time, they are still producing some really good young talents in world football. And then, of course, with Germany, Bayern Munich consistently look to try and sweep up as much young good German talent as they possibly can. Now, obviously, the Bayern Munich Allianz Arena is not in the game, so the likes of Sanderson Park provides a very realistic shape and structure of the stadium. Of course, it's not as big as the Allianz Arena. It's only got and holds 38,000 people, 39,000 people if you're rounding it up. But nonetheless, you're looking more for the shape and the structure of the stadium. So Sanderson Park best suits and replicates the Bayern Munich Allianz Arena in real life. And there you have it, people. That is what I would do for a realistic Thomas Tuchel and Bayern Munich career mode. If you have enjoyed this video, as per always, hit that like button down below, subscribe if you are new, and I will see you guys later for a very special set of tactics that I will give to you. Until then, enjoy your damn day. I'm out.